Alex. Welcome to the live. Every week we feature somebody in and around the industry, and we talk about the things that make gaming great. And one of the things that has come more and more to the forefront every year is new voices describing the games they love and suggesting games to others or why they love games. And since you are a board game sommelier, I had heard that term before because Tower Games in Minneapolis has one of those too.
Oh,
And I was
cool,
like,
cool.
I'm like, okay, all right, this is a thing. It's growing. Alex, how did you decide that this was your calling, that you were going to be the board game sommelier?
That's a great question. Yeah, I feel like I got into the hobby a little later than most, but sort of maybe 5 or 6
By
years ago.
age or by calendar year?
I think by age, I didn't grow up playing a ton of games. A lot of people have these
Hmm.
childhood memories. My childhood memories are maybe playing Lord of the Rings Risk or something like that. That's pretty much, the extent of my, gaming experience. But I picked it up maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I realized this was a great opportunity for me to sort of teach people things and also interact with people in a way that was really personable and really fun. So, as is many things in my life, I picked up the hobby and I ran with it, and now I got this whole collection of games behind me.
Okay, so
That is out of control.
so that whole wall has happened in the last 8 years, 6 years, five.
Yeah,
You're like,
about 5 or 6 years for sure.
oh, it got you. It got you deep. It got
Yeah.
its fangs into you, Alex.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well,
I have a comment that said, "What do you think of viticulture?" As a board game sommelier, I'm required to know all the rules of viticulture, of course, because
And
there's
feud
only
'em.
so many wine-themed games, right? And viticulture is probably my favorite one of them. But there's a few of them that I haven't played yet, so I'll have to get on that.
Okay. Speaking of, your bio says that you specialize in light and medium weight games. And this is critically important. So Essen just happened, and people always in the on my end of the industry, I've been a publisher almost 10 years now, freak out about the number of titles that come out every year. And the statistic that I love to give people is gaming more than doubled during the pandemic. That's
Wow.
people, when you ask if they identify as a gamer, they will say yes. And the mass majority of those people are gateway gamers or just starting their journey. So when I interact with other publishers, I tell them it is not the number of games that's going out that has actually becomes the real bottleneck. It's about how to get to those people who are just starting on their journey. And that's your specialty. Woohoo!
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I sort of found this niche, and it really has come to come to a head with the TikTok following. A lot of the people that I've reached out to on TikTok and that have helped kind of support my following here are really that entry level gamer or new players or players that have played a few games and are really interested in learning more. Right. So I kind of had this really interesting funnel that goes through my social media channels where TikTok is that entry level gamer just getting started. Instagram is for more of like, hey, I play games now and I'm interested in like the mechanics and I'm interested in like, a little
Oh.
bit deeper stuff. And then my YouTube is very much like, I really like games and I want to know more about that kind of stuff. So
I
it's all
love that as a
geared
breakdown.
towards, yeah, slightly different audiences. So hopefully, if you join me on TikTok, then you can graduate to the Instagram and then to the YouTube, over time, right?
That is a great way to break it down. So much of people are trying to digest the internet in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have monetized various things in such a punishing way, and we are in that cycle right now with the election cycle. Like people cannot give themselves enough opportunity to give themselves a break from all the things that are not improving their lives. Like
Very true.
And
Very
so,
true.
but on my end of the pool, it makes like if you're going to run a crowdfunding campaign, the advertising dollars for that, if you wanted to try to boost it versus any of the old methods, and by old I mean like 4 years ago methods, it's become prohibitive. Like
Yeah.
you better be selling like a crazy game that has a huge whatever with all the stuffs in it to justify the like lead generation price that it will cost to like use stuff like my last game was $13.50, Alex.
Hey, that's affordable. Affordable.
Speaking of which, all right, we're starting on today's topic, and today's topic is how do you pick the next game? A couple of people heard me warming up for this yesterday during Sovereignty's game night before Jasper's TikTok Discord night. Do you belong to Jasper's TikTok
Yeah.
Discord?
I just
Okay.
joined it like 2 days ago or something like that, so I'm fairly new to it, but I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yes, we should play a game sometime. It'll be super fun.
Yeah.
Um, when you see someone or interact with somebody in person, what is your first like decision gate or question that you ask that somebody who's also trying to find a game to share with somebody in the beginning of their journey? What is the first thing that you like to ask?
Totally. I will say that the first question that I always ask to people, and actually, I had experience with this because I had a game night last night with a few folks that I'd never met before. And the first question I always ask is, what is your experience with games? What kind of games have you played before, right? Because I always try to break down the decision to the lowest common denominator of like, oh, here's a game that's maybe similar or similar weight or similar length than something that you played before. So whether it's, a new player who's like, I have played Monopoly or I have played Catan or something like that, or someone who's like, yeah, I played, Wingspan a couple years ago and I liked it, but I don't play a lot of games or something like that, which was sort of the case last night. So
What
usually
I
I'm
am
always
hearing
asking that experience. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you try to figure out what their expectation for a board game experience is. If
Yes.
they said, "Hey," because when you say, "Let's play a board game," and when I say, "Let's play a board game," might be more similar, right?
Yeah.
You did bring up, was that like a Korean version of Pokemon Point
Yes.
Salad?
Yes.
That's
I got it right
amazing.
here. Got it right here. Collector's item. My collector's item.
That is amazing, by the way. I saw you were also at a Korean place playing. Are you Korean yourself, Alex?
Yes, I'm half Korean. My mom is Korean, and so I've started to try to lean into that. And there's a pretty cool Korean community here in Portland that has I'm getting to be a part of and starting to. And I've been trying to learn Korean as well. I went to Korea for the first time a couple of years back, and it was crazy to have so many people in one place that look like me. And so I sort of had like a weird revelation. I was like, you know what? I should probably start learning Korean. So I'm working on it.
Well, you think that's weird? Wait till you go to someplace like Toronto if you haven't been, and everybody looks like us, Alex. I also am half Korean.
There you go.
There's just multiracial people everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, it's a thing. So yes, I recognize. I'm like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
I was so jealous. I have this set of Pikachu pancakes that I have from like
Amazing.
1998 that I keep.
Hey, you got to have your things. You have to remember this is still a hobby, right? You treat it like a hobby, you know?
Absolutely. So, very first thing, and this is something that anybody can use for their game night, is find out where a person is in their board game journey and what they expect from a board game experience.
Mm-hmm.
This is you're starting a lexicon of discussion with this person to make sure when you say something, they hear what you're saying.
Exactly.
So, all right. So the very first question is, so what have you played before and what did you like about it? So what's next?
Yeah, I think after that, it's sort of deep dive questions into to try to again kind of get to the the root of why they want to be here, right? You know, this is like, are you
Ooh.
trying to play a game where you can have a conversation the whole time, and really you just want to talk with me, like you just want to hang out, and there might be a board game on the table, or is this one like, hey, I want to like get into a little bit of a puzzle and like have a little brain workout, you know, or try something that I haven't played before, or you know, have a new experience. Like all of those things are totally valid answers that I've had from totally different people, but it definitely affects the way that I choose the games for sure.
Okay. So
Yeah,
if I said, well, I played Monopoly before, is this like Monopoly? Where would your go-to place be?
sure. Yeah. So anyone who is like, you know, I've played Monopoly and that's pretty much it, right? You know, the
Uno. I
trick about
played Uno.
Monopoly. Oh, or Uno. Yeah, Uno's another great thing, right? You know, because those games are not monolithic, right? It's not just like this is a like Monopoly isn't just a roll and write game. You know, it is
Right.
also an economic game, and it's also like a push your luck game, and there's like other mechanics within the game that I'm like, oh, do you like just rolling the dice and running around the board, or do you like buying a bunch of properties and making other people jump onto them, or you know, like what is it about that game that you like, and then trying to find the same thing goes with Catan. I get this one all the time, uh,
Hmm.
uh, which is, you know, oh, I played Catan, I played it a couple of times, but I don't want to learn new games and things like that. But Catan is such a great gateway game because it has so many different mechanics that you're like, oh, well, do you like the negotiation? Do you like the route building? Do you like the resource collection? Do you like, you know, X, Y, and Z, and then going from there?
Do you know where the inspiration for the original mechanics for Catan comes from, Alex?
I do not. Tell me. Enlighten me.
There is an old school game. I think this is a 1970 something game called Civilization. It is a 12-hour play. And in it,
Okay.
there's a sub game that you have to work through that is literally just Catan.
That's so
And
funny.
so, like, there's this whole like, look it up. I've played this game once successfully. Like, this game is an enormous undertaking in the old school. Like, every mechanic in the game is a full page. Everything is resolved by charts. This game is like a mess, but it is weirdly like a seed for so many of the games that we now see as like gateway games for the modern era. And
Yeah.
yeah, Catan. So from Catan, you of course send them to Nut Hunt because Nut Hunt is
Because
just
of our friend
Ticket to
Jasper.
Ride meets Catan. That's all it is. Good job, Jasper.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I think you know, I've had actually, you know, it's funny. I think the most viewed video on my TikTok is a video that I did that was like board games that are better than Catan, right?
Oh,
And I like you know, it was just kind of like a funny thing. I was just like, oh, these are games that I like more than Catan. And I was amazed by how controversial this opinion was. I had so many
whoa.
people in the comments that were saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Catan is the greatest game of all time. And then I had people in the comments saying, "You're so right. Catan's totally overrated. Like I love Ticket to Ride, you know." And it's like all these different things. I didn't know that I had lit such a fire, but it
You're the
was
reason we
just
can't get along, Alex. Like,
and
seriously.
people assumed though that I hate Catan, and that's like, you know, I do not hate
No.
Catan. You know, I have nothing against the game, and honestly, I have it in my collection because it is a great gateway game, and some people, you know, that's the game that I would suggest to them, right? But
Right. A couple of
personally,
things.
there are plenty of games that I like better than it, but that doesn't mean I hate it. You know?
I think that's where you start. Like there are
Yeah,
things you like when you're earlier with a thing, and then the more you develop your taste change. I think that's with so many things, right?
yeah, yeah.
A couple of things. My chat has been talking. Of course, Pat had heard a prelim of some of the questions I was going to ask you last night at the game night, but he also is like. He wants to know what quests of Valeria is like Waterdeep Harbor. He wants to talk about that. And he also wants to talk about Catan as one of the pillars of Eurogaming.
Yeah.
This is Pat's probably right about this, but uh, I never really consider Catan as what I would quintessentially say is a Euro game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always think more of an Agricola, but maybe that's my age, like, or even like a
I,
Power Grid.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean,
yeah.
I'd agree with you for sure. I think a Euro to a seasoned gamer is something that's um, a little bit more deep than Catan would be, right? But where Catan suffers from a lot of it's luck based with the rolls, and there's no dice mitigation, and there's like a lot of uh, you know improvements that could be made to the game, but it's because it's at its simplest level, and that's why it's popular. But I did have a hold on. I had a question in here as favorite AEG game, um,
Ooh.
which another great opportunity to bring out my fresh copy of Point Salad, my favorite AEG game from their collection. Point Salad, great 2 to 6 player card game, really easy to learn and teach, and just a really great game. And someone sent me a cap. Thank you. What a treat. And thanks for
uh,
Diary of a Lincoln Geek for moderating the chat. I appreciate you.
That's amazing. So, all right. So, if you like Point Salad, we play it probably pretty frequently on the Sovereignty board gaming
Oh, nice.
library app. So it's great for that platform. Point Salad has all that bitsy math that you don't necessarily want to do at the end. It crunches all the numbers for
Love
you,
that.
and you can always have a game with you. So yeah, and it's free, and it's not like that fake kind of free where you have to give them your credit card and they charge you later. It's the actually free. Go ahead and sign up. And if you
Yeah.
want to play whatever's on the free menu, you can always do that as well. All right. So, how do you get somebody from a Catan to a point salad? I think point salad is a very gamer game. But I feel like it's very approachable. I feel like if we start with what is lightweight, I would say Sushi Go, Point Salad, any of the card drafting games, even Seven
Yeah.
Wonders, because the time length and because I guess we should define what is a lightweight game. I guess let's start
Yeah.
there, Salmier. What do you define as a lightweight game?
Yeah. I mean, for me, the lightweight category starts at 5 minutes to learn, 10 minutes to play. Oh, nice, nice mug. Uh, 5 minutes to learn, 10 minutes to play. To me, is such a sweet spot that it's like you don't even want to play a game, but by the time it's over, you were like, "Oh, we played a game." Like it like takes you by surprise the fact that it's you've already played it, And I feel like Point Salad maybe takes a little bit longer than 10 minutes, but it's like 5 minutes to explain, and it's such an easy one to like play as you go, learn as you go, have like a kind of a tutorial first round, and because the rounds are so quick, like you can just kind of play it and people are like, oh, okay, let's try it again. So that to me feels like a lightweight game, one that it's got a really simple rule set, and I think playtime definitely has something to do with it, right? Because when you expect a lightweight game to come to the table, even if the rules are really simple, but it takes you an hour to play, I don't think I'd consider that a lightweight game, because
No.
I think when
Yeah.
people want to get into a lightweight game, they don't have an hour or they don't want it to take an hour. So that's also something to pay attention.
All right. This makes a very interesting question. Okay. Why do you think, in your experience, uh, someone would rather play one game 3 times in a row versus an hour-long game? Like a game that takes three 15-minute games versus an hour game.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think I have this experience with my mom a lot actually, because I am the type of person that I'm always loving to learn new games, loving to teach new games, and I'm always, just like, oh, let's try another one, let's try this, let's
If
try that.
you are a board gamer, you are on board with learning new games, even if it's begrudgingly. Like to be a
Yes,
part of the hobby, you have to accept the fact that you will be learning new games.
yes,
It's that's it.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think when I teach new games to my mom, like, it's very much she wants to learn the strategy well enough so that she can win. And so that is her motivation for wanting to
To catch her
play games
enemies, to
again
see
is
them
because
driven
she's
before her.
yeah, and so if she doesn't win, which is honestly not that frequent because she's pretty good at games, but when she doesn't win, she wants to play it again because she wants another shot at it. And so I think that could have something to do with it, but it's also just going into it. It's your motivation for playing the game, right? Are you motivated by wanting to master something? Because in that case, you want to play the same game over and over and over, right? But are you motivated by just seeing, what's out there or trying something new? And which in that case, throw anything on the table.
My end of the pool, I end up playing things for two reasons. One is, oh, this is how this mechanism works, or this is this appeal, or this is the experience that it's trying to give. So I'm in there, and I am not really playing as much to win as I am to try to figure out where the fun is and so forth and whatnot. And I do that pretty much like twice a month. I'm like the sommelier from Tower Games. He
Yeah,
brings me games like, okay, Seppy, you should see this mechanism to play, or you should see this execution of a game, and or its promise, and so forth and whatnot. I'm like, okay, I'm on board. The
yeah,
other way, though, is I'm a person who really wants to figure out, get under the hood, and figure out the strategies of these games, and that
totally
requires you to play a lot of times,
true.
sometimes to get it, and because I will lose the first X number of times, and I don't. It's okay if I lose, as long as I feel like I'm learning something
Yeah,
about the game.
totally, totally,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that definitely has been some of my most rewarding and also some of my most frustrating moments with games. Is like when I finish a game, I got totally destroyed, but I feel like I got better or I feel like I learned
Yeah.
something. Versus I played a game, I got totally destroyed, and I honestly don't know what I did wrong, and I feel like if I played it again, it would be the same. And it's
Even
very,
worse is
yeah.
I played the game. I don't know what's going on, and I won. Like, and I don't
But
feel
you didn't even
anything about it. Like I guess I won. Like the I guess I won is one of the worst feelings for discovering a new
yeah,
title.
yeah. I have to agree with you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
That is all right. So a lightweight game. And today's topic is how to pick your next game, and we are talking about first identifying your audience and what their expectations is for games. What a person's expectations is for a game or a title is incredibly important because it is about approachability. Alex already talked about approachability based on people's expectation on the media platform as a thing. And so TikTok's audience wants something very, very approachable. Instagram wants something a little bit more deeper dive. And if you've gone to YouTube, you deserve what you get.
yes, absolutely. That's right. If you subscribe to my YouTube, like you're a real one. You're an OG. Like your demon is not coming out.
All right. So where do you feel light games end and medium weight games begin?
Sure. That is a really that's a very that's a very deep question, I think, because I think it depends on the type of game, if that's fair. But to me, it
It is.
playtime is huge. Like I mentioned, I really don't think a light game that is an hour long is really gonna, there's not really doesn't feel like there's a market for that. Where to me, where it goes from a lightweight to a medium weight game is when you start adding mechanics into it. So, point salad, for example, we classified that as a light game. That's, it's card drafting and it's multi-use cards. That is essentially, if you can explain those mechanics, then people will understand the game. And those are pretty straightforward mechanics that are pretty common, right? But as you get into that medium weight game, is it card drafting with a twist? Is it okay, area control, but this or that, and how many of those mechanics are you going to have to explain, right? Because you have to kind of walk it down the way, as it goes, right? I think so. For example, I Wingspan. I talk about Wingspan a lot. That's one of my favorite games of all time. Again, something that I didn't realize had such a controversial opinion on the internet. Some people think Wingspan is
There
the worst game
people
ever created.
people are mad about something on the internet, Alex? Tell me more
I
about
was
this. People's
aghast.
reaction.
I couldn't believe it. No, but anyways, I love Wingspan. Wingspan, I think it has been touted as a gateway game. I had a comment in my chat about great new gateway games, and I think it's kind of an interesting one because it is. I would say it is a gateway into heavier games, definitely.
It is.
But
Yeah.
I would say you still need one step. If you're introducing a brand new board gamer, you need at least one step to get to Wingspan, in my opinion, right?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm also of this opinion. Yeah,
Yeah.
like an engine builder is one of those mechanisms that I would tout as medium weight. Like
Yes.
it usually has multiple components. Like Gizmo, I might put it where light ends and medium begins. Be also because
Yeah.
it's an engine builder. The
Yeah.
idea that you're cascading on your previous decisions in a multiplicative way
Totally.
is probably how I would articulate that
Yeah.
particular phenomena.
For
Um,
sure. Yeah. And I think also
yeah.
it's like you have to consider the decision space a little bit. I feel like most light games are very tactical, where it's like you see what's available on your turn and you take that action, and you really don't have to have a ton of forethought as to kind of what you're doing next. You just kind of have to have a general idea of what your plan is, right? For a lot of medium weight games, that tactical starts to turn towards the strategic a little bit, and what I mean by that is uh, you start to see the consequences of your actions more, I think, because there's more moving parts. And so the decisions that you make each turn, or the decisions that your opponents make, or whichever, depending on the game, right, depending on the interaction level, affect how you're making the decision. So it's much more in a medium weight game. You have to sort of be paying attention a little bit more, devote more of your time to really paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I'm going to circle back to that, but I don't want to ignore the chat. The chat wants to hear your feelings or your response to the quick start for Wingspan and how much you think that helps it move towards a gateway game.
Sure, sure. I'm not 100% familiar, I guess, with the quick start. I mean, I feel like I've seen it around, but I've never tried it myself. Do you have uh, a rundown of what that?
No, I am
Yeah.
not. I have only played a Wingspan a couple times because I'm
Okay.
like, cute little wooden eggs.
I
I'm
mean,
going to make my birdies happy.
I
Ooh.
mean, I always tell people when I explain that game, Wingspan is one of those games. It's probably one of the 10 games in my collection, or whatever, that I don't need to look at the rule book to explain because I've, played it
Nice.
enough times. For me, I always tell people it's birds on the board. You got to get birds on your board. That's how you're going to score the most points, right? And
And
when
you're
when
like,
you bring it down
Ravens,
to that, you're like,
just
okay,
get Ravens all the
honestly,
time. Just
Ravens,
Ravens.
best card, best card. Everybody knows it. Everybody.
Everyone knows
So I can't really give an opinion on the quick start, but I do like when games sort of have that sort of tutorial mode to get people started. I think that has become
Yeah.
more popular in games recently, and I really like that trend because as a person who is 99% of the time teaching the game, those help tremendously. So, and I love it. I'm not
Um,
saying anything against it, but I love teaching games, but it makes it easier.
uh, one of the things when I was an adult, I used to do software as a service, and so way back a long time ago, the board game industry is following the same steps that the computer industry did before, which the computing gaming industry is now finding, where computer the corporate like these same problems are being repeated again and again, but also same opportunities for learning and setting expectations for experiences. And these tutorials is a definite offshoot of other gaming experiences that people have. Like, oh, to get you on board with this kind of thing, I'm going to walk you through these kinds of thing. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to pick up the knife. I'm going to go over here, use the knife on the bad guy. Okay, and that's
Yeah, no,
um,
for sure.
yes. What is your favorite tutorial in board games?
Oh man, that's a good question. My favorite tutorial. I'm trying to think of one that I've played recently. Um, I'm trying to. There's a number of these sort of escape room games that I played. I can't. I think it's the exit games, maybe. Uh, those are they. It's nice because they basically introduce the mechanics for you, and they give you like a little mini escape room to solve before you do the escape room. And really, I think that's all it has to be. Usually, when a game doesn't come with a sort of tutorial mode or easy mode or whatever, I'll just make everybody at the game night watch a quick little video, and
Are you making
like
them watch you? You making them watch you?
if I if I have a video tutorial of it, that's homework for them to watch before they come to the live. Like before they
Wow,
come to the
Alex.
game night, they gotta
Wow.
watch the video. Hey, you
That's
gotta give
really
you
trying hard to
gotta give you
boost the
visual
numbers
notes,
for
right?
your.
Yes, yes. No, but we recently we played with a couple of friends who are pretty avid gamers. We played Brass Birmingham for the first time,
Hmm.
and that one was one that I was like, you know what? I think it's better if we just watch Rodney from Watch It Played just explain this to us for 20 minutes and save ourselves a lot of time, and then we just kind of get into it. So, and it was great. It was great. We watched that video, and then we jumped right into it, and we had a good time. So,
Okay.
I,
Have you played
I'm humble
Nemesis?
enough to know that I'm not always gonna be the end all be all for rules explanation. So.
Have you played Nemesis?
I have not played Nemesis. That's one on my list of ones that I need to get to the table.
Have you played Kingdom Death Monster?
No, I have not.
Okay, so these are collector, like there's board gaming, there's little lightweight, middleweight games, and then there's a sort of a weird offshoot where you're like collectible games
Oh yeah.
where the specificity of the pieces and their interaction creates a heavy game experience. Like I would say, going to our next topic, where medium ends and where heavy begins is the amount of extra knowledge that universe requires you to know. Like the tutorial for Nemesis is like 45 minutes because that game has every mechanism in it that was popular from 2010 to 2020. Like every mechanism in it. If you know anything about Polish designers, yeah, that is a thing. They decided like, I love that. I'm putting it in. I love that. I'm putting it in the game. I love that, but I'm putting it in the game. Have you played Too Many Bones?
I know of Too Many Bones. Yeah, for sure. I haven't played it. I played their other game, Burn Cycle, though, which is a sort of a newer chip theory game. But you know, for, I'll say Burn Cycle. Burn Cycle was a game we played 1/3 of one campaign, and it took us 3.5 hours, maybe, to finish. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be like a three, uh, like room heist or something. You got to go up
yeah,
floors, and we
yeah.
finished the first floor, and we are like, I am exhausted. I'm exhausted. You know?
Nemesis
So
is like that too. Nemesis is like, if everybody knows what they're doing, it can be like 3.5 hours.
yeah,
And I find that people really need to be on board with that kind of experience, and you need to tell them in advance. It does help that if they're older, and not because older people have any kind of aptitude more for these kinds of games, but because of our expectation has been warped by decades of games that take massive amounts of time. Like
yeah, yeah,
during my lifetime, Twilight Imperium has gone from 8 hours to 6 hours. Or four
yeah,
and a half hours,
yeah.
and it's like, wow, it's improved so much, but it's still like it's like a 4.5 hour
I
game. It's insane.
yeah. Definitely
Yes.
got to come
So
with that there, but I think especially at like a convention or something like that. Those are the types of games that I'm like, I'm here to play games. So let me play this game, and I'm like ready.
Oh, will you deep dive at a convention like this is I'm gonna play all 8 hours of this or whatever. Like some
If
of
they
those tournaments.
then yeah, because for me it's like I don't own and I won't own. I specifically don't buy those games that often, right? Because I can't get them to the table. I don't have the people. I don't have the regular game group that wants to play those things, right? But if someone's got a copy at a convention and they're like, "Hey, we need an extra player," I'm like, "Yes, I will stay up till 4 in the
Yeah.
morning. I don't care. I'm
Let's
here
do
to
Kingdom
play."
Death Monster. I have to commend one of like Pat is trolling me on the chat. He realized which edition of Twilight Imperium I was talking about first. Good job, Pat. It is it's pretty serious. I'm in Minnesota now, and that's where Fantasy Flight started, and so forth and whatnot. So that game came into my proximity a lot earlier than maybe some other people. We already showed us your favorite lightweight game. And we already talked about Wingspan, your favorite medium weight game. Then what is your favorite heavyweight game?
That's a good question. So, if you had asked me maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said Scythe. And
Ooh.
that's not to say that I don't like Scythe is still my favorite game for various reasons. That I won't get into. All you have to do is go to my YouTube and watch my top 50 games of all times. Just follow me, like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc. Neither here nor there. But I think the reason why it doesn't qualify for this category is because now that I've played a lot more games, I don't really see Scythe as a heavyweight game anymore.
No, I don't. I don't see Scythe as a heavyweight game.
Right on the line of that, like medium to heavy, only because of the rule set and the fact that there's like like you said, a bajillion different mechanics that it's using. Lots of paths to victory and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially if you play with all the expansions, I think it sneaks into the heavyweight and like all the interactions. My favorite element about Scythe is probably how quickly the end sneaks up on you. The pacing for that game is a little like it's a little exciting. Like, oh, and now the end is nigh. Like, and you don't realize that the first couple times you play, you're like, bam, oh my god. So that's definitely a thing. Yeah. So I think Scythe counts, and I think Scythe is where like medium becomes heavy. I think that's sort of that end of the pool. Yeah. What is the heaviest weight game you play on the regular? Oh, sorry, you were gonna say?
No, it's okay. Yeah, the heaviest weight game that I play on the regular, I think the one that's all up in my top 10 as well is one called Zaya, Legends of a Drift System. I don't know if you've ever. It was like a Kickstarter a while back. It's by this guy who lives in Oregon, actually, and I got connected with him because I knew his sister. It was all a very weird thing, but it's like it's how you get connected, right? The game itself is it's a sandbox game, so it's very much like you go and do whatever you want, and because of that, the booklet is quite large, right? And there's a lot of stuff that you can do, but it ends up playing sort of like Space D&D or something like that, where you just you're rolling die, moving, and you're trying to complete these different tasks, and it's nice because there's not really a tutorial mode, but there's like a easy level, get up to this amount of victory points and then the game ends. But then as you play it more and more, you can move that target further and further, so that you can start to really develop your engine and really start to have a lot of funny stuff. So
how long does that take to play?
I would say I've probably done it in like 3-4 hours, kind of depends. But it's a really fun game, and I haven't really played sandbox games much, so it's nice that there's just like a wide open decision space for that kind of stuff. But
optimal player count for that?
Optimal player count, I played it at 3. I've played it at 3 the most, and I think that it feels good. With 4 players, there probably would be more interaction. in 3 you can kind of avoid each other. You can't really avoid the AI a little bit, you know, because there's always like other ships moving around the galaxy and stuff like that will attack you and stuff. But one of the things I do like about that game is I always tell people when I teach them, it's you're gonna die, you're gonna get exploded at some point, you know, and it's how you recover from that. It's how you get back up. That's what matters, you know. So if you explode early in the game, you actually don't even lose a turn. You just end your turn and get a new ship or whatever. But you know, towards the end of the game, once you have a bigger ship, you know, it's much harder to explode. But if you do explode, then you have to like upgrade and stuff like that. So the penalty becomes more and more, but it's still a really great game. It's kind of hard to find. So again, it feels like I have a hard time recommending it to a lot of people because, you know, there's not that many copies out there, you know? So it's like, I don't want people to be like, oh yeah, like I really want to play this game, then try to look it up on Amazon and, you know, it's on eBay for like $300 or something like that. So, you know,
yeah.
That's
all right. Yeah. Let's move to this topic, which is a great topic.